every open season, we encourage people to take a look at their current plan and see what other options they have. This year, particularly with premium increases on average 13.5% for enrollees, it's really an important time for people to look.
Hi, folks. Love Rutledge here, host of the FedUpward Podcast. We have a special guest on the show, John Hatton, who works for the National Active and Retired Federal Employees Association, or NARFE. You may have heard it called NARFE, lots of different names, but they work hard to advocate on behalf of federal employees on a lot of different topics. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So first, let's start with what the organization is and does and your role in it.
Sure. So the organization is representative of all federal employees, so really an association for all federal employees and retirees. We started as a retiree organization, but we've had an increasing number of active employee members. And we advocate on issues to Congress and the administration regarding federal benefits, anything government-wide workforce issues, things you might have heard on, like things like Schedule F, if that pops up and becomes an issue again, and federal pay, but really our bread and butter is those federal benefits, health benefits, retirement benefits, anything though that really hits government-wide as opposed to just a niche part of the federal government. And then we provide a lot of resources to our members. So we look to ourselves to be federal benefits experts. So whether it's webinars, magazines, white papers, just information for members on our website, really help people navigate these benefits that are very complex and people often get overwhelmed about. And I think as we talk about open season, that's probably number one of what people get overwhelmed about with regard to how to make a decision on which plan to choose or how to coordinate with Medicare or not coordinate with Medicare. And people have a lot of decisions regarding their federal health benefits and can stand to save a lot of money by those decisions, or and make sure they have the healthcare they need as well. So really combining those two, having that peace of mind for healthcare and the financial aspect of it as well.
Yeah, you guys provide a lot of great resources. And before we jump into a discussion that's focused on healthcare open season, I want to make sure folks understand the kinds of resources you all offer. One of the things that I find most helpful is information about pending legislation or legislation that is, on the cusp of entering a new stage of approval. So can you talk a little bit about the work that you all do specifically with the Hill?
Yeah, so we have an entire advocacy department. So in my role, I oversee both our Federal Benefits Institute and our advocacy efforts. And so on the Hill side of things, we have a set of legislative priorities and policy priorities that we're trying to advance through collective grassroots action, through direct advocacy from staff in NARFE to members of Congress, through use of our political action committee as well. And then as an informational resource to our members, we make sure that information is in our magazine, in our weekly newsletters. When there's a pending piece of legislation that is critical that we need support for, we may do action alerts or emails so it's coming. We may have a vote next week on a piece of legislation that affects civil service retirement system employees and their Social Security benefits. We've been working on for a long time, but certainly ramping up those efforts, making sure we get everybody across the country that's impacted by that contacting their members of Congress as much as they can so they know that's an important issue to them. And that goes across the board for issues that affect active federal employees as well, from federal pay raises to protecting the merit-based civil service.
Yeah, hugely important. If you are a listener at this podcast, you should consider joining an organization like this one who can advocate on your behalf, because together, federal employees advocating for specific policy positions were much more impactful than trying to do it individually. So let's jump into healthcare open season. Going to have other guests on the show talking about different aspects of changes in plans this year. What are the things that stand out to you and your members that you think folks should be aware of?
Well, number one, every open season, we encourage people to take a look at their current plan and see what other options they have. But this year, particularly with premium increases as high as, on average, 13.5% for enrollees, it's really an important time for people to look. I think people just get I don't want to say complacent, but I think they're very comfortable with what they have in their plans. And the entire process of choosing a new plan is very confusing, and they're worried maybe they would make the wrong decision. So trying to walk through how to make the decision so you can be comfortable doing so, I think can really leave you better off. And making sure you're taking the steps to say, is this plan covering my healthcare needs, but can I also save money? So number one is just open season. You need to take a look, and the high premium increases are really a new reason that you should really take a look.
Yeah, and I want to focus on things that federal employees who maybe are nearing retirement should keep in mind. So if we could focus on that, I would appreciate it. The premium hikes are huge this year. That will affect
Right.
everybody. What are the unique issues you see facing folks who are edging up on retirement or who have just retired as they look at what health plan to choose?
So there's always going to be an issue with Medicare integration with the plan, and a big decision for people retiring, depending on what age they retire, is whether to take Medicare Part B and combine that with your FEHB coverage. Um, that in itself is a whole conversation, a whole webinar. Do you take Part B? It's really a cost benefit analysis. Is the cost of those additional premiums, which differs for each individual, potentially based on income, going to make up for the benefit that you're getting in terms of coverage for healthcare needs? Um, but if you do take Part B, then what plan should you take? Maybe you don't need to spend as much on an FEHB plan. If you don't take Part B, maybe you should have a more comprehensive plan to make sure you're covered for all your healthcare needs because you don't have that same dual coverage. Um, pre-retirement, again, that's related to Medicare. If you still have a couple of years before you're eligible for Medicare, you just may be at a higher likelihood of having higher healthcare needs. So you maybe still want that more comprehensive coverage. You may be retiring after Medicare age, and again, you're coming up with that decision, both whether to take Medicare and what FEHB plan to take. And so trying to combine those two together, I think, is critical.
And let's remind folks, in order to carry your FEHB plan into your retirement years, you have to have been on a plan for, is it 4 years before retirement?
It's
Or
five, you need
five
five
years?
continuous years of coverage. So as long as you were eligible and had it, you'd be all right. So if you had a break in service and you came back, you'd still have it, but you need that 5 continuous years of coverage. So certainly an important thing to note for individuals to keep that in retirement.
For sure, that's huge. So something you've got to plan ahead a little bit on if you don't normally carry your employees' health insurance if you're on your spouse's, something to keep in mind. What are the other factors that you think people might not normally consider that you encourage folks to look into as they're comparing plans?
So on the retiree side, there's not only that kind of Part B option, but there's these Medicare Advantage plan options that may also coordinate and provide additional benefits. Now, uh, if you take a look and compare, a Medicare Advantage FEHB plan, I want to be careful to delineate these from those commercial market Medicare Advantage plans that people maybe have marketed to them. There's a lot of confusion out there on that. What I'm talking about here is you may sign up for a specific FEHB plan, for example, Aetna Advantage, and that has a specific Medicare Advantage add-on that would combine with that plan to provide more comprehensive coverage and coordinate. You may be able to save with those types of plans over kind of a more Cadillac style federal plan, even with average healthcare costs, something like $8,000 a year. So you may have a trade-off of you want to make sure the doctors you have are covered. May have a more limited network, but you may be able to, if everything you need is within your network and it's covered by that plan, it may be a way to save money. A few other things for the retiree group is this new Medicare prescription drug option, which people now have the choice either to stay in or opt out of, which is a decision for people, and there's factors there. For active federal employees, if you're younger and looking to start a family, there's been a broad expansion on IVF treatments, and so every single FEHB plan has some type of IVF coverage, and there's for every single individual they have a plan option that has more comprehensive coverage. So those are a few additional things to look out for.
Yeah, thank you for that. So many things to consider. But one of the things that I encourage folks to do every year, regardless, even if you're happy with your plan, is to shop again because plans change from year to year. There are many changes in not just premiums, but the level of coverage and the providers who are in network. So make sure that you take a look at that. My friend Kevin Moss at Consumer Checkbook likes to remind folks of that as well. So we'll have a link in the notes to an episode with him too, because you guys provide some complimentary discussions and I'd say resources for federal employees, and taking advantage of all of them is important as you make these big decisions during open season.
Yeah, we actually partner with Kevin and the Consumer's Checkbook as well. So NARFE members get a discount with their services. So come watch one of our webinars that Kevin Moss is presenting. We have other presenters like Tammy Flanagan as well,
Yeah.
walk you through some of these options. Um, and and then use Consumer Checkbook in combination with that. And you can really,
Yeah.
I
And
think that
Tammy,
really maximizes what you get.
absolutely. And Tammy and Kevin, who just mentioned, who do work through your organization, really are some of the most knowledgeable people in the country on these
Yeah.
changes and these plans. So, like, you're not going to get better than these guys because they are the
Yeah.
experts.
Yeah, I can talk about a lot of the top level details, a lot of top level considerations to talk about. They get into some nitty gritty details of specific plan options, and I can give a few examples to illustrate kind of what we walk you through. But you really need to walk through you know, what are the 5 different plan options that might provide you savings over kind of the most popular plan option, and kind of the step by step process. So. They're incredible resources, years and years of experience doing this. Kevin, in Consumer Checkbook does a very comprehensive analysis of the plans that provides a plan comparison tool. And so we certainly are not, we want to work with everybody who knows the most and not just try to put ourselves out as the only resource, but really complement those other resources.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And you guys do such a great job aggregating those resources. Obviously, you're one of the best given your position as one of the largest organizations representing and supporting federal employees. If folks want to find those resources, if they want to join, where do they go? What's your website? And how do they get into your organization?
So www.narf.org /join. You can go there. Easy to find the join page on the NARFE website. We have very low $48 per year dues. And then that gives you access to all of our benefits, all of our magazines, all of our webinars, all those resources I was talking about. It also gives you access to federal benefits experts. So if you have a particular question, we always have a Q&A through our webinars, but if you have an individual question, we're not going to give you advice on say you should take this healthcare plan, but if you're confused about a certain aspect of the decision making process, you can email us, give us a call, and we will get you an answer as well. And we partner with, again, experts there that will be able to, the top experts to provide those accurate answers to you. So certainly encourage people to join. I think it's very reasonable given the amount of money that you could save on some of these decisions. And I think it's just also, having the magazine, the newsletters come to you, monthly or weekly. It lets you know what you may be missing out on, what's a new opportunity. And we haven't really talked about the postal side of things yet. And I don't know how many listeners you have on the postal side, but there's a new Postal Service Health Benefits program this year. And there was a special enrollment period, a once in a lifetime opportunity for people to enroll in Medicare Part B without late enrollment penalty. That's now passed, but it was one of those things that people might not have known about. Maybe they got some letter in the mail for the Postal Service, but maybe they missed it. And so just trying to be aware of what options there are available to you. Sometimes it's not what you know, it's what you don't know, and knowing what questions to ask.
Yeah, 100%. And I always tell folks, and I'm sure you do too, you can't always depend on your agency or department's HR teams to know everything. They might be incredibly knowledgeable about the issues that occur frequently within your agency or department. But if you have a unique situation, it's organizations like yours that can provide those resources, webinars, and information about pending legislation that others who are closer to you in the workplace might not have. You mentioned webinars about benefits. Can you give us some insight into other topics that you guys host events, webinars on that people might want to tune into?
So most of our webinars are benefits related, but they range from health benefits. So we have an entire open season lineup about Medicare Part B or not, Medicare Advantage, which have FEHB plan to choose. If you don't have Medicare, if you're an active federal employee, we have things on financial planning and kind of how to utilize your TSP to maximize your retirement savings, things on long-term care and the like. We do typically do periodic webinars on advocacy topics. I think we try to focus on smaller, kind of shorter educational videos on some of that, but certainly keep everybody up to date on the latest on what's happening on the Hill, and those things. But we typically do a beginning of the year kind of what to expect this Congress. If you are involved in chapters, federations, we have those types of longer form presentations for our members as well.
Fantastic. Well, I can't endorse the work that you do strongly enough. It's so important, again, for federal employees to band together to make sure that we are advocating for one another to preserve our benefits and our pay and all those things. I really appreciate what you and your organization do to help make that happen. Is there anything else that we should make sure folks know about NARFE that we might not have hit already in this discussion?
I think it is the one organization that really spans the entire federal government. And so people, if you're an active federal employee, you may find something that's a little bit more relevant specifically to your workplace, right? But if we're looking to band together on these government-wide issues, I think we're a key place to go. If you're looking for really the top-notch federal benefits expertise, I think that's where you go. People, for the dues we pay, people enjoy our magazine a lot, and we have these great feature articles that are developed. Probably one of the most interesting articles I've read on Schedule F is from our magazine, and I'm sorry to toot our own horn on that one, but it's the Q&A in the magazine on benefits again. So we have chapters that provide community for federal employees and kind of online kind of social media internal that provide communities for federal employees to network as well. So really encourage people to take a look. We're here to help you navigate your benefits. We're here to help you join together with other feds to advocate for those issues that affect you and the federal workforce as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I'll make sure that in the notes for this discussion, we have the links for folks who want to join. Again, thank you so much for what you do and for what NARFE does for all of us federal employees, both active and retired.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.